All right, here we go. Rob, news today, not slam dunk 100% news, but I guess just little extra reporting out there that it's looking like it's going to be tough for Lamar Jackson to play in this playoff game against Cincinnati this weekend. Jim Trotter, longtime NFL reporter, Ian Rappaport, same thing.
Which Jim Trotter? You know, there's two of them, right?
Yeah, the black one. Are they both black?
No, the black one. No,
the black one.
I think the guy Jim Trotter for ESPN, because Jim Trotter, who used to be at ESPN, is at the NFL Network.
Right.
That's the black Jim Trotter. But I think there's a white Jim Trotter, too. I get confused when I see stuff. I'm almost positive. Okay.
I just probably saw stuff and assumed, from him. But this one was from
NFL Network. Yeah, that's the black Jim Trotter.
I saw him on video. But anyway, they're talking about it's going to be an uphill battle for Lamar Jackson to play in this game, and that it's, the PCL is bothering him. He still doesn't have, the movement he would need, the feeling he would need, the comfort he would need in that knee, Rob. And it looks like, again, it doesn't seem 100%, but it looks like he's not playing this weekend. What are your thoughts on Lamar?
If you can't play, you can't play. If you're not healthy, I don't think he hasn't practiced in all these weeks because he's
5 weeks,
counting his money. You know what I mean?
He definitely ain't counting his money. Cause
right. But I'm just saying, 5 weeks is a long time not to play and not to practice. Forget about playing. Practice. It says something is not right, and you have to look out for your long-term health. And you shouldn't rush back if you're not healthy. If you're not healthy, you can't play. And I know people do one for the Gipper and all that. No, if you're not healthy, you're not going to help the team. You're only going to hurt them.
Especially when you don't have a guaranteed contract that you should have. And again, I'm not necessarily saying it should be fully guaranteed, but he's got no security if he were to get hurt. And we know in this game you can get hurt at any given moment. So, and I'm not saying he's sitting out because of the contract, Rob. We thought he should have sat out at the beginning of the season. So he's a gamer. Who knows? Maybe that's a factor. I don't know. But I think mostly it is the fact that he's injured and probably not close to 100%. And the way he plays, he would need stability in that knee to really be Lamar Jackson. Now, let me throw this at you, Rob, because there are some people who are, and my co-host on First Things First, Nick Wright, thinks that Lamar has played his last game as a Raven. Where you at on that?
I disagree. I think they'll franchise tag him as much as they can. What's Plan B in Baltimore? I don't see a Plan B. I think that they'll ride it out if they can get him on a franchise tag, Chris, for 2 years. Give themselves a chance. He's healthy to win a championship. And then if he wants to, and then at that point, they don't have to give him a long-term guaranteed contract. He gets paid the average of the top 5. It works for them. And then in 2 years, if you feel like he's always hurt or banged up, or we didn't win a championship, or we got a championship out of him and his unique play, then you could still let him bounce, and you're still way ahead of the game. You haven't committed any kind of money to him. You probably got him for 2 years for $100 million, Chris, which is way less than you would have to on a deal. So I don't see why Baltimore would do that. And
go ahead.
And it gives you 2 years to get his replacement in ready to go.
Right. I totally agree. I think it would be ridiculous for Baltimore to move on unless there was some type of trade where you got a guy that's close to as good, maybe younger, maybe hadn't had the injury issues or whatever. But for the most part, I'm completely with you. Rob, Baltimore, as the Ravens, have been in existence for 27 years. Lamar Jackson is their first ever elite quarterback. All right, Trent, I know they've won Super Bowls, and credit to them for building that type of program. Right. Trent Dilfer, Joe Flacco. And Flacco was, I guess, a franchise quarterback.
Because Flacco had an unbelievable playoff run. 11 touchdowns, Chris, no picks.
But it was like Nick Foles. Now, he's better than Nick Foles, of course.
But he had that one.
He was not an elite quarterback. You know,
had
he
that
was good
one
enough
run.
to be a franchise quarterback, right? But you don't give that up. They've seen, Rob, with Lamar Jackson, they're a Super Bowl contender.
They're winning
Without
75%
him-
of their games, Chris.
Right.
75%.
Without him, they're in the running for the top pick in the draft. I mean, you don't, and they just signed Roquan Smith to the 5-year, $100 million deal. That tells me, number one, they're not interested in rebuilding. And number two, that saves the franchise tag for Lamar. And I'm with you. Like, if you had, because look, Lamar has been hurt at the end of the last 2 seasons. There's no question about it. And if I had to sign him to like a 5-year, $250 million deal to keep him, then I'm a bit concerned. But with the franchise tag, that takes all of that away. The only thing is if Lamar were not just refused to play on it.
Well,
and I don't
right.
think he's that type of guy. I'm not saying he shouldn't necessarily refuse to play on it. But Lamar, Rob, I think he's just a guy that wants to go out and play. Certainly he wants his money, but I do believe if they franchise him, he will play on that tag just like he played this year. And to your point, if he got hurt again, then you can be like, look, it's 3 straight seasons. He can't get through a season. Maybe we move on. Or maybe you do him one more year, but then you got a 4th year to think about. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And I don't like the franchise tag.
No, the
for
franchise
players.
tag is a bad deal,
Right.
Chris. We've we've agreed. One of the things that we totally agree on, that like the CBA is bad for the players, Chris, all the way around, where they can be franchise tagged. You can be cut if you have a bad year, Chris, asked to take a pay cut. But if you have a great year, you can't, hold the owners and say, I want to be bumped up. I want more money. Who would sign a deal like that? I just don't even understand why.
That's another conversation.
No,
but
you know what I mean?
But in light of what happened to DeMar Hamlin, Rob, there were people talking about how bad the CBA is for the NFL players.
Chris,
to me, Robin, I get it that they got twice as many players as baseball and 3 times as many players as basketball. Still, they should have the best deal.
No, they make more money, Chris. They should have the best deal.
The league makes more money, and the players are literally, even though you can get hurt in the other 2 sports, they're putting their health, long-term and short-term, Rob, on the line every moment.
Chris, did you see the video from the guys in Cleveland? I think Jay Crawford was in that video. Did you see it?
That was one of the ones I was
the ones that you saw.
Yep.
The only thing that I had a problem with, I wish we were on that show, because blame the players, Chris. They agreed to it. Like he's talking about, the NFL doesn't care about. Dude, that's a CBA collectively bargain deal. The NFL owners didn't push that on them. They agreed to it.
They pushed it on them, but they accepted
they agreed
it. They
to
let
it.
them push it on them.
Exactly. That was my only issue, and nobody stopped him.
It's easy to sit there and rip, and they can deserve to be ripped, but then you got to talk about the players too.
Yes, and there was none of that. That was the only thing I didn't like about that video.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you on that. And the players, they have. Frederick Douglass said, "Rob, power concedes nothing without a struggle." So if they're not willing to struggle for it, they're not going to get it. But the bottom line is right now, those are the rules. And if I'm running the Baltimore Ravens, Rob, I would use the franchise tag to my advantage.
Sure you would, Chris. It's there for you. It works in your advantage. Right. Why wouldn't you? All I got to do is pay him year to year, the next 2 years. He'll make a lot of money, but I'm not on the hook. If you said, if he gets hurt again, I'm not on the hook for a long-term deal. And if he plays well or whatever, we win a Super Bowl, then we could really determine, do we even want to keep him or not? We could determine at that point. And if we don't win, being the Baltimore Ravens, in the next 2 years of 2 franchise tags, we could say thanks, but you know what? We're going to move on.